It's about 72 degrees in Charlotte, North Carolina. Overnight is gonna reach the 60s. Here is playing Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart. I don't own the rights to this music. Tonight, I want to talk about the territorial dispute between Venezuela and Guyana. I'm going to try to talk a little about it because my phone doesn't have very much power. Doesn't have very much power left, very much battery left. In 1777, Spain founded the General Captaincy of Venezuela. And he said that the eastern border was the Esequibo River, and this was a border with the territories that belonged to the Netherlands, to the Dutch. So the east side of the Esequibo River belonged to the Dutch, and the west side of the Esequibo River belonged to the Captaincy of Venezuela. In 1811, Venezuela became an independent country to rule the wars of independence. And in the Venezuelan Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and Constitution of 1811, it was established that the border to the east was the Esequibo River in 1811. In 1814, the Dutch gave the lands east of the Esequibo River to the British. And right there, since that moment that the British arrived, they began crossing the river west into the lands that belong to Venezuela. Simon Bolivar, the leader of the Venezuelan Wars of Independence, sent Ambassador Jose Rafael Rebenga to London in 1822 to tell the British, your colonies are setting camps west of the Esequibo River in our lands. They either go back east of the Esequibo River to your lands, or they must submit to our laws. Those were the words of Simon Bolivar of Venezuela, sent to England with Ambassador Jose Rafael Rebenga. The British didn't care. The center of government of the new Republic of Venezuela, the Great Colombia, was Caracas and Bogota. And that border was far away from those locations. And the British continue to invade the land that belonged to Venezuela. Venezuela continued to make complaints against the invasions that the British continued to do. Venezuela continued to complain and complain and complain over and over again through the years, many times. The British became tired of it. And they say in 1899 that they agreed to go to mediation in Paris to deal with the issue, with one condition, that the Venezuelans would not go to that mediation, but that they would be represented by 2 American attorneys. And there was a mediator who was a Russian judge. That Russian judge that was going to be the mediator actually lived in England. And in those mediations, it was said that the lands west of the Esequibo River belong, the English claim it, they say belong to them. Venezuela did not accept this because the lands that were set from the beginning of the foundation of the country were the lands west of the Esequibo River, and the east side of the Esequibo River belonged first to the Dutch and then to the English. If there were other issues with other countries east of the Esequibo River, the only thing that concerned the formation of the country is that the lands west of the Esequibo River belongs to Venezuela. The government of Venezuela never accepted the mediation of Paris of 1899. And one of those attorneys that represented Venezuela, one of the American attorneys, Severo Mallet Prevost, left a document declaring that in that mediation in Paris, there was no mediation. That the British just took the land. They claimed it to themselves. They robbed it. They stole it. And Venezuela never accepted that. So with that document of Severo Mallet Prevost, Venezuela continued going to the League of Nations complaining about the abuse of the British. In 1966, England, Guyana, and Venezuela signed in Geneva acknowledging that the Paris mediation of 1899 was invalid, had no validity. All three countries signed that agreement, acknowledging that the Paris mediation was invalid, was null. And they signed also that Guyana and Venezuela will look for the way to resolve this issue in peace. These countries signed that agreement in Geneva of 1966. This agreement has no expiration. Only the conditions that both countries, Guyana and Venezuela, will resolve this issue in peace. Not long after that, England gave Guyana their independence, and Guyana became an independent country. The early governments of Guyana were of socialist, leftist tendencies. And we can say that this is in the middle of the Cold War. And the United States did not like that. They didn't like that kind of left influence in the Americas. So there are documents that in the 1970s, the United States wanted Venezuela to attack Guyana because of their political tendencies. Venezuela did not do it because Venezuela is far a bigger country than Guyana. And Guyana was a very young country. Venezuela did not attack Guyana. Venezuela, through the years, always tried to find a way through diplomatic means to deal with the issue. Guyana and Venezuela met several times, including in Port of Spain, Trinidad, to talk about it. But there was always diplomacy. This is long before the event of the last 20 years with the socialist revolution in Venezuela. Had nothing to do with it. This is long before that. Venezuela always looked for diplomatic ways to deal with the issue. Things have changed in Venezuela in the last 20 years, politically. And it seems to be that the great powers don't like the political situation in Venezuela. And now, oil companies, American oil companies and from other countries, wants to take advantage of the oil resources and mineral resources in the land of Esequibo that is in dispute for nearly 200 years. The only valid document that there is the Geneva Agreement of 1966. And it was that Guyana and Venezuela would try to resolve this issue in a peaceful way. Once again, oil companies wants to push Guyana and Venezuela into war because these oil companies are greedy. And they don't care for the Guyanese, they don't care for the Venezuelans. These oil companies, they just wanna get in there, exploit the land, and rob both Guyana and Venezuela, period. My purpose of this video is to suggest that peace should be pursued and diplomatic means should be pursued. It's not right that other countries will get involved in an issue that was agreed to be resolved between Guyana and Venezuela through diplomatic means. So I wish the very best to the people of Guyana. I wish the very best to the people of Venezuela, and that this issue will be resolved through the diplomatic means without the meddling of other countries. So let's pray for the peace in South America, for the beautiful people of Guyana and the beautiful people of Venezuela, and let's find a diplomatic way to deal with it. God bless everyone. And I am a Venezuelan, so of course I support that our land, historical land, will remain within my country, Venezuela, but always in a peaceful way, because Guyana is a small country. I do not support any wars, and I do not support the meddling of other countries. I have many, many Guyanese friends, and they're beautiful people, beautiful people. We cannot follow the ways of the other worlds or of the powers of the world, whose only interest is to exploit and rob nations in development. God bless everybody, and let's pray for peace between Guyana and Venezuela.